Howdy, how y'all doing tonight? I plan on putting this on YouTube and maybe Facebook too, but I've been having some questions about kind of my lifestyle. I live on kind of a self-stylized, a micro off-grid homestead up here in the panhandle of Texas. And anyways, this is something that I've been kind of passionate about for about the last decade of my life, and I've done a lot of research. I felt I'd done plenty of research before I kind of jumped into it, but so it turns out it's kind of really like a learning experience. Basically, I split with my kid's mom last year, and I ended up buying a fifth wheel trailer, and the place that I had it parked was kind of real expensive. So one day while I was at work, I decided to just look around, see if I could find any just cheap land somewhere, and I did. I found originally it was a quarter acre, and since then I've bought another acre, or excuse me, another quarter acre. So now I have a half acre out here, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and I parked my fifth wheel on it. And originally I planned on hooking it up to grid power, but grid power is kind of real expensive, and then with the whole COVID-19 thing, I ended up losing my job. So, I just kind of decided to just jump right into the whole off-grid thing and see what I could do. So again, I've owned this where I'm at right now for almost a year now. And it's been a learning experience. I've kind of fallen on my face quite a few times, but what's really interesting is that a lot of the research that I did before I jumped into this, and even since then, a lot of the research that I've done while I've been out here, stuff that I found on YouTube, stuff that I found online is kind of crappy. I'm going to try to not swear too much because eventually I'd like to get this video monetized. I think that'd be pretty slick. But so anyways, yeah, I'm out here about on a half acre of land in a fifth wheel trailer. I've got a shed. It's actually the third shed I've built this year because it's real windy out here on the high plains, and it's blown over two of my sheds. So I just rebuilt my third shed. It's concreted in. It's got X braces and all that other stuff. So if this one goes down, I just don't know what I'm going to do. But basically, that's what houses kind of my feed for my animals out here, because I do have a little bit of livestock, and also houses my battery bank for my solar, my generator, and some other equipment that I have out here. As for shelter, again, I have my fifth wheel. It's not a new one. It's a used one that I bought. It was about $5,000. It's got a few things here and there wrong, but it's just one of those things where I just slowly try to fix it as I can. And then I've got a chicken coop out here for a couple of chickens I've got. I've got a pig pen for 3 hogs that I've got. And then I have a dog house for my little pit bull that I named Coldwater that I found back in January. He was dumped off at my work before I lost my job because of COVID-19. But anyways, so jumping into power, power is one of those things where, like, a lot of the YouTube videos that you watch, they make it look really, real easy. I ended up going cheap route, and I went to Harbor Freight, and I bought 3 of the solar kits, and then I ended up buying 4 deep cycle batteries from O'Reilly Auto Parts. And I mean, it works, especially like during the day and stuff like that. Problem is that the wind has ripped my solar panels off my array several times, so I've had to go back and get those replaced. Fortunately, Harbor Freight has a really good warranty program. But if I could go back again, I'd probably actually try to buy better solar panels, not the Harbor Freight ones. They do sell, like, you can go on like Craigslist, stuff like that, and find used solar panels with a better area to wattage. Especially the used ones that people are trying to sell because they tried off-gridding and then they realized this ain't for me. And I'll probably end up buying some of those. But basically, just with those 2 to 3 sets of Harbor Freight solar panels and those 4 batteries, that runs my fridge, which I don't have a full-sized house fridge in my fifth wheel. It's just a regular old little camper fridge, but it's got a freezer in it. Keeps my meat cold. It keeps my beer cold, which is, the most important thing, as we know. But occasionally, like on cloudy days and stuff like that, I do have to run my generator at night, just because my solar panels haven't fed enough power to my batteries, and my inverter cuts off at 10 volts. Now when it comes to power, I'm on my second generator this year. I have a 3500 watt generator that I bought at O'Reilly Auto Parts. The first one, a diode or something died in it, and it would sit there and run like a champ, but it wouldn't give me any power, so I brought that one back. I've gone through about 4 inverters. I went through a peak 1000 volt, and I went through I went through 2 peak 1000 volts from O'Reilly's, and then I bought one that they sell now. I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but it's black and green, but that's 1000 volt, and that ran for a while, but it ended up where the battery save feature on it, which usually they'll time out at 10 volts. Well, it was timing out at 12 volts, which obviously isn't going to work for me. So I just brought that back. I went to Advance, and I bought a Schumacher 1000 volt. So I'm going to see how well that one does. The inverter has basically been the weakest part of the whole solar thing. And I do want to eventually change out my Harbor Freight solar controllers for something I can buy probably online or something like that. Something that's just a little bit more efficient, because they like to throw error codes out a lot. But anyways, like I said, they run my fridge perfect for the most part. During the daytime, I can run a box fan in here to keep cool. I can run a TV. It charges my laptop, my cell phone, stuff like that. Yeah, power is definitely going to be probably the biggest headache when you're doing the off-grid thing. When it comes to bathroom facilities, that's something, again, not a lot of people put thought into, but even out here in rural Texas, you still need to get proper permits for septic if you're going to have any kind of septic. I've got a chemical toilet, which is fine for just me, but a lot of folks that are gonna move their family into a fifth wheel or something like that, one dinky little chemical toilet is not gonna do it for you. It's not. you're gonna be overflowing. You're gonna be having a whole bunch of problems. So you may have to consider putting in an actual septic, and just the permitting and stuff like that can get quite expensive for septic. That's even if you're just hand digging it out and pouring the concrete yourself. So just keep a lot of thought into that. When it comes to water and a well, I don't have a well out here. Some of my neighbors say that back in the day they did a survey out here, and they found bad water a few 100 feet down or something like that. But they seem to have good wells, but their wells are around 300 to 400 feet down. So in order for me to have a well, I'd have to drop 20-30 grand, which as of right now I don't have. So I haul water. I get it from various places. Right now I have 7-gallon containers, and that's what I do most of my hauling with, from friends' houses and stuff like that. However, I do have like a 325-gallon water tote, and I want to get a second one, and that way I can have one in the back of my pickup that I can actually get water with, and then when I can drive it out here, and I can transfer that water into another 325-gallon water tote for water storage, and then I can pull the other water tote out of the back of my pickup and set that on the ground. That way I'm not always constantly driving around with a water tote in the back of my pickup. But you use a lot more water than you actually think. Trust me. And even if you're not showering out here, say you have a gym membership or you shower at a friend's house or whatever, the amount of water that you drink. If you have pets, especially if you have livestock, you go through a crap ton of water. I'm constantly hauling water in these little 7-gallon jugs, and that's why I want to go eventually with these totes. But so anyways, water's an issue too. When it comes to trash, you're gonna have to either burn your trash, you're gonna have to bury your trash. I separate mine, so like any of my cans and stuff like that, I put aside. Any of my burnables, I set aside just so I can burn it in my wood stove. And then all my plastics and stuff like that actually goes into the trash, and I haul that out. I take that into town whenever I'm driving through town and drop it in a dumpster, which I'm sure that the neighborhoods don't really appreciate, but I don't really care. For AC and heat, I can run AC in my fifth wheel, but it drastically reduces the efficiency of my 3,500 watt generator. Whereas, if I'm just running just regular stuff with no AC, I can make 4 gallons of gas in my 3,500 watt last over 24 hours. If I have my AC on, even at the lowest setting, it drops it down to maybe 6 hours with 4 gallons of gas. So I try not to run my AC. I try to just open my windows and run my box fan. On the real hot days, which it does get real hot here in Texas, of course, I will run my AC during the hottest part of the day. So that is nice to have. When it comes to heat, last winter, I kind of did a whole lot of experimentation where I was, this place has propane heat, but it's electronic assisted. Well, the fans in this place that push the heat throughout are not really efficient at all. So it'd kill my battery bank within 45 minutes of turning it on at night. So then I decided to use, and then also with the propane, I don't know if I have a leak or something like that somewhere, but I'd have 2 of the the grill sized containers of propane hooked up, and those might last me 4 or 5 days before I'd have to refill them again. So that's $50 a pop every time I refill 2 of those. So that was not very efficient at all. So then I decided to start running floor heaters. Well, my generator is only a 110 generator, and it just has the 110 cord coming up in here. Well, I kept popping the breaker every time I tried to run lights and 2 floor heaters in here on real cold nights. So then I could only run 1 floor heater. I'd have to basically cordon off 1/2 of my fifth wheel and, just live in 1/2 of my fifth wheel during the wintertime, which is real rough. So this winter I ended up getting a wood stove. A real good friend of mine built me one. It's awesome. So anyways, that's great because I can do cooking on it. It heats up this whole place real nicely. It's already gotten cold a couple times just this fall already. So I've already tested it. But anyways, that's going to be awesome. So for laundry, of course, I don't have laundry out here because I don't have actual running water. So I do have to take it somewhere else. I watch my kids 3 to 4 days a week. So I take it to their mom's house, to the washer and dryer that I bought her. So I do my laundry there. But if you don't have that, of course, there's quarter machines and stuff like that in town. Pets and livestock. I've got a dog out here just to help me with security. And when I say security, I don't expect him to attack people and stuff like that. I do have a beware of dog sign out, but he's more for just kind of letting me know when people and other critters are around. We do have coyotes out here, and he'll sit there and bark at the coyotes, and they'll sit there and yip back at him. So I know if there's coyotes around, and I can start looking for them. I've got pigs out here. I've got 3 pigs right now. They're all about 60 pounds apiece. I'm probably going to butcher them in March. But, obviously it would suck if I was to lose one or all of them to coyotes. I do have 2 hens. They live in in a pretty good sturdy coop, so I'm not really worried about coyotes getting in there. But with the hogs, I do worry about the coyotes jumping into the pen and doing their business. But those hogs take a lot of water, a lot. The amount of water that I've hauled out here ever since I got those hogs, which about 2 weeks ago, has probably tripled since before, when it was just me, my couple of chickens, and my dog. They go through an obnoxious amount of water because they don't sweat. They have to drink water. Uh, they eat slop, so I have to add water to their food. So water and water, water. So going back to security, my whole place is fenced in. I've got barbed wire all the way around it because I'm not necessarily far enough out of town where I don't have to worry about the junkies coming out here looking for easy prey. So my whole place is fenced in. I do have a locked gate. I do have cameras. Now when it comes to cameras, since I'm off grid and I don't have power 100% all the time, so therefore I don't have internet out here, I don't have normal security cameras. What I've got are game cameras set up, and every time I get ready to leave, I have to turn all my game cameras on in a certain way, so that obviously I'm not taking pictures of myself as I'm walking around my property turning all my cameras on. But it's just something to keep in mind for security. Obviously cameras aren't going to stop someone taking your stuff, but at least if you have enough of them out there, even if they disable one or two of them, you can still catch pictures of the culprits as they're doing their thing. And my last thing I really want to talk about is entertainment, because when it comes to like hobbies and stuff like that, it's a lot harder to do when you're off grid and you don't have a whole bunch of power. Where when it comes to carpentry, it comes to welding, it comes to a lot of rural people's hobbies, you don't really have access to the power to do those things. So you kind of have to keep that in mind. I'm starting to get back into reloading. I did reloading last year. This year I've been so busy doing stuff that I didn't really get back into it, but I finally set up a reloading bench inside my fifth wheel so I can hopefully get into that, especially with the ammo shortage going on. But, I have a small TV in here, and, I do watch movies from time to time. I watch a lot of stuff on my phone because it's a whole lot energy efficient to keep my phone plugged in than have my TV and DVD player on. Not saying I can't have those on, but I just have to keep in mind, especially at night, to try not to drain my battery bank too fast. When it comes to computers, a laptop is better than a desktop. Obvious reasons. Laptops are just a lot more energy efficient. You can leave those plugged in, and you're not going to kill your battery bank. Believe it or not, I play a lot of solitaire out here. If you have, friends and family out here living with you, you can sit there and play cards all day, all night, all kinds of games. But when you're out here by myself, like I am, I play solitaire. Anyways, that's really all I really want to talk about. Just a few other things I want to touch on is when it comes to the shelters. I've seen a lot of people talk about how they want to buy those Lowe's sheds and bring them out. Folks, those Lowe's sheds are not as cheap as you think they are. A friend of mine was talking to me about getting one, and he said, "Oh, Red, it's only about $12,000. Well, that's the price of the $12,000 one is not the Lowe's shed that you're standing in. The Lowe's shed that you're standing in is about 15 grand, and not to mention the fact it's only an outer shell. Okay, you're still gonna have to put at least 6 to 10 grand worth of insulation and wiring and flooring and ceilings and all that other stuff inside those to make it even remotely comfortable. And where I live, it gets real hot in the summertime and it gets real cold in the wintertime, so you have to have insulation. You can't just go without. Otherwise you will sweat to death in the summertime, and you will freaking die of exposure in the wintertime. I'm serious. when it comes to power, I should have talked about this earlier. I apologize, but I did buy like one of those $200 cheap wind turbines from Amazon. You can buy them on eBay too. I'm sure even cheaper. And it did not work worth a dang. And look, when people sit there and call Chicago the Windy City, they've never been to the Panhandle of Texas. This place, there's always wind blowing. So I thought, oh man, I mean, I can't lose buying this cheap little wind turbine. It's going to produce something. No, there was hurricane force winds out here, and that turbine would not turn. It wouldn't do anything. So I still have it. I took it down. I ended up using the pole that I had it on just to put some solar lights on for added security out here. But it's not in use. um, but anyways, if anyone has any questions, just holler at me and I'll try to get back to you. Thanks.